for your continued support of this series, why I think Curse of Strahd is so good. Before we continue, you should know this contains spoilers. Although we won't be going into every minute detail of every location or gameplay element, it is important to be warned. Secondly, Curse of Strahd, even though written for a game that children play, due to the nature of the setting and the moral ambiguity of what's right and wrong in such a wretched place, viewer discretion is advised. Like its predecessor, I6 Ravenloft, Curse of Strahd has a large dungeon to be explored in its final chapter. I cannot do Castle Ravenloft the justice it deserves, however I will try my best. Due to the large layout and the complexity of the castle, I will not be able to go over every room, but will discuss the rooms with more game-changing scenarios. That's not to say that each and every room in Castle Ravenloft should not be explored. This is not a funhouse dungeon, but one thematic, with danger at every turn. Every room has a purpose, and a chance of making the PCs meet their early demise. A focused random encounter table and traps abound make this a dangerous place to be. Your party makes its way to Castle Ravenloft and enters the courtyard. Thick, cold fog swirls in this courtyard. Sporadic flashes of lightning lance the weeping clouds overhead as thunder shakes the ground. Through the drizzle, you see torch flames fluttering on each side of the keep's open main doors. Warm light spills out of the entrance, flooding the courtyard. High above the entrance is a round window with shards of broken glass lodged in an iron frame. Let's put on our ambient thunderstorm, turn down our lights, and turn on some low electric candles. As the shadows dance across the walls and light your faces with jagged edges, let the sound of the thunderstorm envelop you as we get ready to enter one of D&D's most revered and terrifying dungeons. Because of the 6 floors and the complexity contained within this dungeon, I will have to break this castle into parts. However, because I'm doing it this way, I want to take the time to make sure that you're successful running this dungeon. When I said turn down the lights and turn on the electric candles, I meant it. Story and roleplay are important in setting up a spooky environment, but we have many senses we should tap into for this. I highly suggest the thunderstorm in the background and any other sound effects that you can use. If you can, speak in a more hushed but enunciative manner. Make sure you're describing the smells of the torches and the rot of the shambling zombies. Be diligent in making sure the players know their characters can hear the dripping of something echo down the large corridors, or the shuffling of something moving from an unknown direction. To get the full effect of this castle, it is important the players are just as well aware of what they hear and see as their characters would be. With that, let's start our cautious exploration. Castle Ravenloft isn't just an enclosed space. Aside from the courtyard you enter first, there are 4 other places to explore, including a servant's courtyard, a carriage house, a chapel garden, and a castle overlook. As the rain pours down your face and makes you shiver, you suddenly realize that none of these areas are just dungeon filler. Random encounters can happen at any of these locations, and each and every area has information further building on the lore that is Barovia and the castle that dominates it. Curse of Strahd does a great job of creating a slight paranoia with the party. Let me remind you that the fortunes of Ravenloft could have given you the destiny to find the items needed to defeat Strahd in the castle itself. But you'll also encounter Strahd here, many times actually before the final showdown. Possibly all before you have all the items you need to make it easier. All throughout the castle, you hear the skitters and movement of things in the shadow. Could it be Strahd? We haven't found the Sun Sword yet. What if he attacks us when we're not ready? Could it be shadows? Those things drain strength. How will we fight Strahd if our paladin, fighter, and cleric have their power reduced? The players will have to be ever vigilant and extremely careful with their resources, something not normally worried about in 5th edition D&D. After exploring the outside, you're going to want to enter the castle. It's cold out here. You enter the narthex, a sort of pre-entryway before the grand entrance. It has 4 bronze dragon statues staring at you as you enter. Continuing through the castle is your safest option, as Strahd wants the players to come and stay in his abode, but never leave. If the players attempt to leave the castle, the portcullis shuts, and the 4 red dragon wormlings appear out of the statues, fighting the characters until they move into the grand entry hall. This encounter, if it happens, shows the players they are stuck in this castle for good. This large hall has 4 towering columns that support the grand ceiling and is lined with gargoyles. A large stairway to the left of you catches your attention as it is accompanied by the sound of someone walking down them. A tall, elven man named Rahadin greets the players. He is not hostile and lets the players know that his master has been expecting them. He shows the PCs to the dining hall, where they swear they can hear the sound of organ pipes. It is not advised to attack Rahadin or deviate from Strahd's gracious invitation, as 8 gargoyles will attack the party for not being such gracious guests. Some may see this as a railroad encounter, but it isn't in my opinion. Castle Ravenloft is an area suggested for level 9 players, and 8 gargoyles will be tough, but not unwinnable. This, however, will take a lot of player resources and give the players the idea that this is more dangerous an area than they first realized. Maybe they should play along. The dining hall has a large table seated with beautiful dishware and silverware. The food looks amazing and the drink overfloweth in the cups provided. Strahd is playing the organ that dominates the far wall of this room. Players don't know it just yet, but Strahd is an illusion. He stops playing, and the room is only filled with the thunder and the rain from outside. He invites his guests to sit and eat. Strahd doesn't attack, he only speaks if the players ask him questions. He will vanish after a few minutes, or if the players attack him. The food is delicious, and the drink is amazing. There's nothing wrong with it. There's no poison, no rot, no illusion. Remember, Strahd is royalty. He will try to kill the players, but he's not going to let them go hungry. This room also has the first secret door behind the organ. More astute characters will realize there are more places to explore all over Ravenloft than what meets the eye. There are more rooms down in this area, but the next big find is the chapel. A disheveled, run-down place with broken pews and a cloaked skeleton clutching an object on the altar with a black mace by its feet. A medicine check will help realize that the human skeleton Gustav Herengast was killed by large amounts of radiant energy. The mace by his feet is a mace of terror, DMG page 180, but he clutches the icon of Ravenloft on the altar. The icon can be used by anyone, but whilst on the altar, I suggest anyone who touches it not be evil, or they will suffer the same fate. The icon of Ravenloft is a very handy item to have. It can cost augury once a day, Anyone who has the Turn Undead feature or the Turn Unholy feature will have their save DC boosted by 2, and it can cast a Cure spell once a day to anyone within 30 feet for 3d8 plus 3 as an action. It's a magic item that is very beneficial to dealing with all the fighting in the castle. Now there are smaller rooms to be explored still, all with the chance of a random encounter, but the next big scripted encounter is one that will really confuse the players. Going up a steep circular staircase lined with swords on the walls and bathed in a pulsating red light, the characters reach close to the top to find a giant beating heart in the tower. This heart has a lot of speculation as to why it's here. Mechanically, it gives Strahd extra HP, but canonically, let your players try to figure it out. This heart has an AC of 15 and 50 hit points. You need a ranged weapon or a reach of 10 feet to hit it. The heart is somewhat animated and connected to Strahd. If it's attacked, the whole spire will shake, and dex saves will need to be made to avoid a 40-foot fall. Not only that, but the swords that line the walls attack the PCs, and Strahd sends 4 vampire spawns to help aid the heart, which itself doesn't fight back. So at this point, the PCs are trying to hold on for dear life as the spire shakes around, all while 10 flying swords and 4 vampire spawn attack them on a narrow, steep stairway with a 40-foot fall. Talk about scary. The characters defeat the heart. It shatters like glass and forms into blood that spills onto the stairway landing below. You hear a laugh from the distance come from somewhere you can't pinpoint, yet you know it's Strahd. Have you fallen trapped to his master plan? You're battered and beaten, and you haven't even gotten to another floor in this grand castle. Stay tuned as we continue to navigate our way through an extensive dungeon that has already nearly killed you multiple times.